One of the most infamous killers in the last 2 decades might have a chance at freedom. Boyd Malvo was only 17 when he and 42-year-old John Allen Muhammad were convicted of killing 10 people in Maryland, Virginia, and Washington, D.C. But Malvo may be resentenced thanks to a sweeping Supreme Court ruling. Reporter Jacqueline Lee has more on this second chance for teens who are serving life sentences.
Malvo was a juvenile when he received a mandatory sentence of life without parole, which the U.S. Supreme Court says is now unconstitutional. So I want to know, what does this mean not only for Malvo, but other inmates across the country? I got a hold of the first inmate in Virginia, resentenced after the Supreme Court's ruling. The 2002 sniper attacks spanning Virginia, Maryland, and D.C. took the lives of 10. One of the killers, Boyd Malvo, only 17 at the time when he was given a mandatory sentence of life without parole. But in May, a federal judge threw the sentence out after the U.S. Supreme Court ruled the mandatory part of sentencing juveniles to life without parole was cruel and unusual punishment.
And what the Supreme Court focused on is that kids are different.
Attorney Julie McConnell specializes in juvenile defense cases and explains the majority opinion.
We should take into consideration the fact that they are young, that their brains aren't fully developed, and that there's still a chance that they could turn into productive and nonviolent members of our society.
The Supreme Court applied this decision retroactively, which means 2,100 inmates around the country sentenced as juveniles to mandatory life without parole, including 16 in Virginia sentenced for capital murder, have a shot at freedom.
This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording.
One of those inmates is Azim Majid.
Hello?
Hi, is this Azim?
Yes, ma'am. How you doing, Miss Lee?
After spending 22 years behind bars, Majid was the first in Virginia to be resentenced after the Supreme Court's ruling.
I believe that every single juvenile, regardless of the crime that they commit, deserves at least the opportunity to prove that they've learned from their mistakes, that they've repented.
In 1995, Majid, previously known as Lorenzo McLean, was part of a group that murdered 43-year-old William Jones Jr. in a Norfolk park. They dropped a 60-pound concrete block on Jones's head. McLean, 17 at the time.
I was a very angry young man. And, I don't think that I understood that I was angry back then and understood the reasons why, the causes why I'm angry.
After reviewing his case, a judge resentenced Majid. Instead of life behind bars, he now has about 6 years left to serve, maybe less with good behavior.
He could have gotten another life sentence. The court could have found that that was the appropriate sentence. It just couldn't be mandatory. He feels incredible remorse. Yet he has spent the entire time he has been in prison for more than 20 years without ever getting in trouble, not once.
Majid wanted to start over, which included changing his name and finding direction through religion.
I'm extremely grateful, and this is why I feel like I have to spend the rest of my life giving back.
While Majid will be able to walk out of the gates he thought were forever shut, offenders like Boyd Malvo are appealing their sentences. Their fate, unclear. Jacqueline Lee, 13 News Now.